Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. For today's video, I surveyed the primary placements of 200 actors who have starred in vampire roles to get to the underlying energetic essence of the vampire archetype channeled into art. While, as you will see, certain nakshatras clearly dominated the survey, it's important to note that vampire films are numerous and casting is broad overall. Vampire works often depict vampire communities as microcosms of the diversity of general society, featuring a wide range of character types and temperaments. Each planet reacts somewhat differently to the vampire theme or curse, creating distinct vampire subtypes tied to certain nakshatras or planetary energies. So today I'm going to dive into the main nakshatra energy behind vampirism in general, special subtropes in the vampire genre that nakshatra is associated with, and how this extends to other tropes associated with this nakshatra such as gold diggers and romance scammers. Ultimately, I'll be exploring this nakshatra's connection to vampires in both the most positive way as well as in more typical ways and in less mythical and more grounded worldly manifestations. The top nakshatra that arose amongst 200 vampire actors was, by a good margin, Mula. This nakshatra's destructive power, Barhana Shakti, its planet lore, the South Node, the destructive and inhaling shadow planet Ketu, and other classifications such as it being sharp and butcher caste, all come together to emphasize it as having a violent cosmic purpose in place. While dominating vampire casting in general, it's notable that mulas especially dominated roles as leaders amongst vampires in a few different ways that I'll go over.
Feed.
So they were not only the most numerous vampires, but frequently positioned at the top of the vampire hierarchy. One key casting pattern relating mulas to vampires in general is their dominance in portraying the prototypical and archetypal vampire Count Dracula.
Some call me the Dark One.
He was the first. Dracula was the first. The patient zero.
Others, the Lord of Death.
Mula Draculas include Nick Cage,
I am Dracula.
Jonathan Rhys Meyers, Clay Spang, Thomas Kretschmann,
Count Dracula.
Christian Camargo, Victoria Summer, Ray Liotta,
I am Count Dracula.
Greg Hill,
I don't know exactly how old he was. We're talking centuries.
Francis Lederer, Leslie Nielsen,
This is the frightening and shocking tale of Count Dracula.
Jonathan Keltz, Gerard Butler, and Rutger Hauer, the latter two in Dracula versions by the Mula director Wes Craven.
For the record, I wasn't gonna go full Dracula in the downstairs.
In my Beauty and the Beast Mula series from last year, I explored in various and broad ways how Mula natives demonstrate powerful mastery over their own animal instincts, just as this nakshatra is symbolized by the elephant goad, a tool for taming and directing the elephant. Such a mastery means a few things. They are able to extend this inner control over the Muladhara to the powerful beasts around them, reining in and directing even the most violent, uncontrolled forces, and depending on the case, either destroying them to restore peace, or taming them under the cosmic order to be used as a destructive force for good. Dracula, who is known for being able to control or use the shape of wolves, owls, bats, and other animals, partakes of this Mula trait as well.
So I suppose I'll just have to control myself. But between you and me, controlling wolves is just so much more fun.
In Penny Dreadful, Mula Moon Christian Camargo plays Dracula, who disguises himself as a zoologist due to his passion for and knowledge of predatory animals.
I have a question about the tiger.
If you'll excuse me.
Far be it from me to get between a man and his tiger.
In a double layering role of Mula themes.
Over the years, I would find strays that needed someone. The next, after the next. But don't worry. You're my favorite girl.
Next, mulas are also able to control and harness the animal instinct within the people around them.
You leave me no choice, Granny. Look into my eyes.
even to the point of overriding their conscious control, such as can be seen in the power of things like cult leaders.
You are a fucking cult leader!
And figures like Dracula, who has the ability to order humans under his will, just as one would give commands to a trained animal.
A private word with you in my office, please.
Stand up. Not you. Sit. You stand.
Where are you going?
I don't really know, actually.
Hey, remember when I did this to your girlfriend in college without using supernatural powers?
Finally, the mastery of the instinct of mulas means they are able to instinctually sense the true inner nature, the level of purity of those around them without being deceived by outer surfaces, just as the deeply compassionate Belle sees the goodness in Beast, Christine sees the goodness in Phantom, and in both cases they help the tormented character to regain his lost humanity. Fascinatingly, Mula natives also direct their special connection to the proper use of force and violence in doing the exact same thing when hunting or taming the beast of oneself. In a variety of artworks, Mula natives are shown as being infected with some kind of disease, specifically one which typically instills carnivorous and predatory instincts and destructive urges in its hosts. They are the rare one of the infected who does absolutely anything to thwart this growing potential for predation, to remain connected to the ruling power of their humanity.
Forgive me if I have a lingering respect for life.
Even as the instinct increases inside of them. There's the common film trope of the vegetarian vampire,
pescatarian.
Come on.
which Mula vampires especially dominate.
Feed on what you will. Rats, chickens, poodles. I'll leave you to it and watch you come around.
A vampire who feels strong cravings for blood yet will do anything he or she can to avoid harming humans, directing their violence specifically, in most cases, towards living off the unsatisfying blood of animals.
We can live without taking human life. It's possible.
Anything is possible. Just try it for a week.
Or in some cases towards only attacking individuals behaving out of accordance with the cosmic order, such as criminals. It was Mula's son Brad Pitt's role in Interview with a Vampire that popularized the vegetarian vampire trope and made it explode in pop culture in the years following.
The girl is that. Take her, Louis. End that hunger. No.
As he struggles morally with his new vampiric condition and attempts to feed initially on animals exclusively, moving on to miscreant individuals.
All I need to find you, Louis, is follow the corpses of rats.
Stephanie Meyer, the double Mula writer of the iconic Twilight, was inspired by this concept of the good vampire and focused her series on a group of vampires who live together, united by their vow not to consume human blood.
Jazz, shh, it's okay. It's just a little blood.
Led by their peaceful maker, the Dr. Carlyle, played by the Mula Moon Peter Facinelli.
If they spill one drop of blood just once, it'll drown us all.
I quote, "In his life, Carlyle was very compassionate."
You two drink pigeons every day.
We set them free. Stacy got attached.
To pigeons?
When he was turned, this manifested into unparalleled compassion that allowed him to perfect his lifestyle as a first vegetarian amongst vampires.
The venom was excruciating, but what Carlyle did was much harder. Not many of us have the restraint to do that.
To the point that he is able to completely resist the temptation of human blood even in large amounts. And he works to pass this restraint to his family.
Carlyle, the blood.
Your brothers will take care of him.
I got him!
As Meyer said, his compassion-motivated self-control is so incredible that it almost crosses the line into a superpower.
You can try to suck the venom out.
No, I won't be able to stop.
Find the will to stop.
Easy, buddy. Easy.
In creating this peaceful vampire community, he's essentially being a Mula beast tamer.
What is the law?
Not to hunt other men.
What is the law?
Not to shed blood.
One of you has broken that law.
Shame on you.
I didn't buy them.
No, but you tried to.
Enough. Remember who you are.
And showing the place that vampires are meant to occupy within the cosmic order.
Find the will.
He shows the restraint necessary for being a vampire functioning under truth. Even Edward expresses this idea quite directly, stating that he follows Carlyle's way because
I don't want to be a monster.
as mulas are given a predatory role but become predators for the cosmic order instead of predators outside of or against it. Mula's son Jared Leto, playing Dr. Michael Morbius in Morbius, is a quite exact parallel character. His self-directed beast healing or beast taming framing mirrors Carlyle, as he too is a non-violent, compassionate doctor, cursed with having to wield and control predatory cravings combined with superhuman physical power.
Did you ever think of just doing it the easy way?
No. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to help people.
I know that all you've ever tried to do is help people.
Знаете, в чем ваша главная проблема? Пытаетесь всех спасти. Всех.
Morbius works to develop artificial blood to sustain himself and curb his destructive appetites, as well as, like Carlyle does for the Cullen family, attempts to extend this restraint to his out-of-control friend cursed with the same disease.
But I can fix it. I'll figure out how to reverse it. Artificial blood will keep us stable until I do.
Yeah, I'm fine just the way I am. Thank you very much.
I bring them to within a hair's breadth of being human. Almost give them human form, feeling, thought, speech. Almost always. They revert to what they once were. Lion, bear, hyena.
Mula Moon Dougray Scott also plays an exact parallel ethical vampire role as Silas in Perfect Creatures, a film following vampires who form a brotherhood to be priests who accept blood donations instead of hunting.
No brother has ever taken a human life, not in the 300 years since we began. Not one.
I have never harmed a human being or a domestic animal my entire life.
Silas is sought out to restrain or destroy an uncontrolled vampire going against the morals of the Brotherhood.
You want to tame me?
And corrupting the cosmic order.
Animal or vegetable, are those my options, Silas?
Mula doesn't reject vampirism, but instead it shapes it into something that exists within the cosmic order with a focused purpose.
Desmodus rotundus. It feeds entirely off the blood of other living animals.
Day Shift is a film about vampires taking over, and studious Mula Sunday Franco must one day go on a ride-along with a government-paid vampire hunter.
And what's your gripe with Breaking Dawn Part 2? It's the exciting conclusion of the whole Twilight Saga.
He's accidentally turned into a vampire.
Oh, that's not good. Why? What? That was totally involuntary.
It's like a hiccup, probably.
But follows the Mula archetype of instead being called a good vampire.
Hey!
Whoa! No. Hey, no. They're the good vampires. That's my girl, Heather. That's my guy, Seth.
Along with just one other good vampire, played by the Mula Ascendant native Natasha Bordizza, who only feeds on blood bags and fights other vampires who are negatively uncontrolled. The Vampire Diaries and Blade are two other Mula starring or Mula created works, featuring or popularizing ethically minded vampires who resist hunting humans. Film analyst Natalie Parker takes 3 of these types of Mula-created films, Twilight, Interview with the Vampire, and The Vampire Diaries, and within the same article compares the trope to Beauty and the Beast, happening in this expression all internally in the Mula natives' inner world. Immense love and strong ethics, which can overcome and tame even the darkest powers or urges and break even the worst curses.
Even though I've never had human blood, I still feel tempted, but it's like drugs. We don't need the high highs. It's more satisfying to not hurt anybody and just have fun with your friends.
Mula's dominance over the specific trope re-emphasizes what I outline in my Final Girl video. Mula's role is the application of violence towards violence. In actuality, Mula is the archetypal vampire in general in terms of destruction through draining something, but the idea of a more restrained, ethical vampire is just realigning the act of vampirism with its roots, the cosmic function, and removing offshoots of uncontrolled behavior of those who contract the disease, but can't place it in context with a cosmic purpose in place. Despite having violent traditional associations, as written in Brihat Jataka, those born in Mula are not inclined to wound other men.
Your sympathy for that girl, you die and you kill.
Hinting at this nakshatra's innate peacefulness and empathy.
Eradication. Everything within the area will be burnt.
And the innocents there who are not infected cannot allow this to escape. No.
As I've explored through these videos, Mula's tendency is a fascinating combination of attributes.
No!
It possesses perhaps the most emphasized compassion of any nakshatra.
Do you have a favorite?
All the broken and shunned creatures. Someone's got to care for them.
You okay?
Just keep thinking about how all those vampires we just killed used to be regular people.
The old vampires are just like us routine, huh?
And yet also is granted the task of annihilating the worst impurities, dangers, and threats, just as the portion of Nirti, this nakshatra's presiding deity, is traditionally said to be the worst of things.
There are creatures whom God has cast into darkness and cursed to the night.
Pitiful creatures.
come to love all the night creatures you see around us. They're so shunned and alone.
God give me courage to show you, you are not alone.
It is this combination of qualities, this deep goodness, this union with truth.
You are evil, instead you cannot be evil, and I shall suffer for it no longer!
Don't make me do this, I cannot!
But tomorrow I'll be forced to consume human blood, and I can't do that. I won't do that.
Why didn't you kill me last night?
You're supposed to be my first, but I couldn't, Michael.
That gives them the cosmic task of wielding destructive power outside or inside of them, as it's they who have the greatest chance of using it correctly.
You don't enjoy killing, do you?
Then why do it? Because I've got a gift.
Mula natives therefore take even the most unwieldy destructive urges and wrestle with them.
Whiny coward of a vampire who prowls the night killing rats and poodles. You could have finished us both.
I'm so profoundly bored by your crisis of conscience.
Well, you said I could do whatever.
Not if it's gonna get you killed. You want to be trigger shy? Fine. But the longer you fight the hunger, the bigger the mistake you'll make.
Twisting them into a force for goodness, purification, and righteousness. This guarantees that they direct their destructive power of annihilation towards that which is truly evil. In the same exact way as seen in Morbius, but with a different beastly disease, Mula's son Jolie Delpy plays a woman afflicted with werewolfism in An American Werewolf in Paris.
For a time I had managed not to harm anyone. Even the hearts my mother smuggled from the hospital were from the dead.
While those around her embrace their raging violent spells, she locks herself in a cage to keep herself from harming anyone.
Soon I'll face a choice. Drink the red or die.
And she also consumes blended animal hearts instead.
And cartons of cow meat ain't gonna cut it, champ. You're gonna need that fresh, warm stuff from something that has opposable thumbs.
Fuck that, I'm not doing that.
Implying again Mula's true connection to healing, her family, like Morbius, also has a lab in her basement where she works endlessly to attempt to come up with a medical cure for werewolfism and put an end to the uncontrolled violence that it's causing. Mula's son Milla Jovovich plays a vampire warrior in Ultraviolet, fighting to save the world by finding a cure for the disease.
There's a cure. I know. I found it.
We may have a cure.
And ending the film by vowing to protect the world from the unjust. Scenes across these films depict the Mula having to test their restraint while using their destructive power, embracing the strength of their beastliness while also at the same time controlling it, like their capacity to ride a massive creature.
Like my blood, it feels like it's on fire. And...
Yeah, like a lot of energy drinks.
Oh, I can smell everything.
In this case, they must allow their disease to activate.
How does it feel when you're on red?
Something wakes up inside of me, something primal that wants to hunt and wants to kill.
Harnessing the violent strength it gives them.
Drank the reds. Good for you.
But fully controlling it to attack their enemies, the truly unjust.
Oh, they got me.
Stop! Calm down! They're expecting humans, okay? It's lead. It can't hurt you. Yes, but hey, let it make you mad.
In the same way, at the end of Vamps, like in Day Shift, the good controlled vampires kill the predatory vampires.
You are all gonna die.
Just as Carlisle leads the Collins in their fight to revolt against the Volturi and their ways. Brad Pitt's character kills all the members of an unethical vampire coven in Interview with the Vampire. In the film The Invitation mirrors this perfectly with the Mole Moon Natalie Emmanuel.
You're all monsters, all of you! You're sick!
When she's forcefully turned into a bride of Dracula, she immediately harnesses her new urges and powers to bring an end to the entire centuries-old evil vampire coven. The Mula Moon vampire in Abigail hunts only criminals and the unjust, and she too kills evil vampires in a way I'll explore more soon.
Here's the thing about being a vampire, Frank. It takes a long fucking time to learn how to do all the cool shit.
In a similar vein, Laurel in Bit, played by Mula Moon Nicole Maines, is turned into a vampire, but rather than succumbing to the predatory nature typically associated with her new identity, she grapples with her instincts and ultimately seeks to reform her destructive coven's ethical compass.
So what do we do now?
Maybe what everyone with power should do and never does. Share it.
In all of these cases, the self-controlled vampire proves cosmic superiority and dominion over the afflicted who are not able to restrain and direct their violent power, and that's why mulas continually become the leading vampire at the top of the hierarchy. And that's whether they're portraying the spin on this in which they are ethically minded, or whether they take on what they often also do, which is a more typical lead vampire role such as the Dracula archetype, but are able to direct their violence in a controlled manner which elevates their power. As I've explored through this series so far, K2 relates to the draining elements of medicine, such as the traditional medicine practice of bloodletting in forms like leech therapy, making small cuts or pricks on the skin, or donating blood. This is Rakta Mokshana in Ayurveda, which is done to remove, I quote, deep-seated circulating toxins from the blood. Between the nodes and planets, K2 is considered most similar to Mars, and both relate to causing outflow. Mars encourages and inspires it naturally, while K2 is like the vampire, which hooks on and drains forcefully from things, typically those things which are limited from releasing energy naturally in a balanced manner from either inner or outer blockages. K2 and Mars are particularly healing for Jupiterians, the latter which I explored more on Patreon. Jupiter rules the fat of the body, which stores toxins, and healing forms of draining help refine and balance those struggling under illnesses relating to disorderly excess and anabolism that reaches levels of ostracizing abnormality. That's just as I've explored how Mula natives create or star in films which are essentially exercises in empathy, meditations on outcasts, the literary grotesque theme.
Right out of Beauty and the Beast, she loves him, therefore voila, he appears more beautiful to her.
Talking about you like you're a beast.
I'm talking about Edward.
Edward is not a beast.
Oh no, heavens no.
Attempting to churn compassion in viewers towards those outcasted in various ways.
Not one step closer, monster. I humbly request an audience. I'll skew you where you stand.
I gave no such order.
One commonly being obesity, one Jupiter-ruled health issue.
Mommy just danced on that bus with that great white whale.
Like in Mula-created movies, The Whale, Pink Flamingos, Hairspray.
I want that chubby communist girl off the show.
Well, let me be the first to toss the harpoon.
Heavy and precious.
Oh, let me get some of that sweet ass, Orca.
People who feel sexual attraction to the idea of vampires and find it as a primary personal fantasy to be pursued by them are typically those resonating under Jupiter energies who unconsciously desire to be drained and tamed or refined by the reduction. Oppositely, those who feel attraction to the idea of being vampire-like fall under K2's energies. Mula natives naturally resonate with vampirism in general, even to the point that Mula's son Nicolas Cage's Vampire's Kiss follows a normal man who meets a Mula woman.
You were so right to put yourself into my hands, Peter.
And through her, as a muse, falls into a deep obsession with the idea that they are both vampires and that she's coaxing him to feed on others.
Hey, I'm a vampire. A real vampire.
Have you seen part 2? Bella has her baby now. It's insane. Oh, I wish I was you just to experience that for the first time. You are in for a treat.
K2 ties to the idea of the ascetic or renunciate traditionally, those who live off the excess of their society, through charitable donations or to one cosmic sacred function of the feminine, which is to drain excess.
What are your intentions with my son?
What do you mean?
You plan to suck the life out of him?
No more than any other girlfriend.
In review, Tara, who is the K2 incarnation of Vishnu, has the bija stream, which means woman in general, and she relates to the draining and rehabilitating aspect of drawing out excessive energy from another person. In one version of her myth, she even sucks the poison from Shiva's throat. Of course, as I always explore through my content, each nakshatra has core impulses, but can take that impulse either towards positive or negative expressions, and Mula's innate link to vampirism can also go either way. They have a stronger likelihood to use vampirism correctly than others due to it actually aligning with this nakshatra's purpose, but also they simply tie to the act inherently, which leaves room for the free will of misusing the impulse as well.
It will never desist until it has satiated its passion and drained the very life
of its coveted victim.
A very real, tangible expression of K2 natives as vampires is in their manifestation in the arts as gold diggers.
Well, I'm glad to see you're not taking this too seriously.
Who said I wasn't? He happens to be very sweet, very witty, and just full of cash. I mean life.
Who leech onto and drain those with some excess who don't defend their resources and who start to crave and unconsciously call forth these vacuum, leech-like forces around them to latch on and reduce them.
Hey, leech, I'm talking to you.
Listen, I have no idea what you're talking about, okay?
Really?
That's right.
Hey, is everything okay? Oh, that isn't the latest victim.
Who are you?
No one.
That's right. I'm just the idiot who's still waiting for the return on her internet investment. What did you call that again? Bleedmedry.com?
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, let's go, Dorothy.
Watch your back, leech.
Potential issues of Jupiter, unbound excess and abundance that I've explored include things like becoming gullible from the softness in life, the accumulated impurity, lack of self-control or self-discipline, and therefore prone to scammers and con men who drain one's resources.
I would have liked you to say to me, if my father doesn't think well of you, what does it matter?
The idea that those who get leeches on them are those who consent to being drained relates even to how vampires are often said to only be able to enter the home if you invite them in.
He is wondering, how did she get in here? And he is realizing that he let her in.
I need to ask you a favor. My roommate, he's left town, and he hasn't been paying his share of the rent, so when I got home today, I found out that all my stuff had been thrown out on the sidewalk. And of course, the timing couldn't be worse, because every penny I have is invested in this startup.
Millie! Can you please make up a guest room?
Oh, no, Dorothy, I couldn't.
Did your father say?
No, I said.
The idea of unwittingly consenting to a gold digger or vampire is perhaps most emphasized in Punarvasu, the nakshatra that I've explored that often needs the most forceful forms of draining asserted upon it for healing, being paired constantly with the Mula force throughout various tropes and archetypes. It's not only that people with literal Jupiterian astrological influences or Punarvasu are vulnerable to vampiric people and gold diggers in life, however, but anyone who's in a state of abundance.
David D. Cummings, 760 million. E-commerce stuff. Just ended marriage number 3.
In a way that softens the mind and makes one more gullible or prone to delusion. In this sense, it's that state of imbalance and delusion that calls the punishment or correction and harsher animal truth of the K2 native, the vampire, towards the person.
Okay, even if we find rich women and convince them we're rich, sooner or later we have to admit that we lied. What? My chain of omelet huts have all gone under? Babe, I'm broke.
That was pretty good, I believed it.
Il modus operandi è sempre lo stesso. Il truffatore sentimentale seduce donne mature sole e le fa sentire importanti, amate. Poi arrivano le richieste di soldi.
I've explored tons of K2-year-old female gold diggers in my Jupiter Men video.
But after tomorrow, I'm the woman of the house, and you're off to a year-round boarding school.
Like the film Heartbreakers, about a K2-year-old mother-daughter duo who repeat one main con. The mom marries a rich man, the daughter gets him into a compromising cheating situation.
Honey, this isn't what it looks like.
And then the women walk away with a big divorce settlement.
My client has agreed to settle for a one-time cash payment.
$300,000. Give her what she wants.
I also explored key gold digger films depicting a K2-year-old woman specifically with a Punarvasu man in films like Casino,
Ginger's mission in life was money.
The Parent Trap.
Be nice, Daddy. He's everything you ever wanted for your little girl, plus millions more.
Then you know I'll be nice.
The Big Lebowski.
I hope that someday my wife will learn to live on her allowance, which is ample.
And Ricky Bobby, where a double MAGA woman coldly jumps from one Jupiter man to another when their wealth and fame transfers.
You can't race no more. I'm not going back to being poor and dancing at the wizard's den.
Unlike you, dear Roz, I do have other uses for the opposite sex than cash.
However, I haven't explored much how K2-year-old men as gold diggers, choosing women based on money and not love, is every bit as prominent.
I say screw love. It's our turn now. Let the women take care of us.
In Heartbreakers, when their previous victim, Mula Ray Liotta, finds out about their con, he actively joins in to con along with them, and eventually together they use him to con a rich woman.
I never realized I could feel this way again. That I could be so totally in love with someone.
I feel the same way, Stanley.
Just like a vampire coven, they join together to more efficiently and forcefully drain out the excess from others. In films with male K2 gold diggers, the plots more often reach even darker points, such as the K2-year-old man killing the woman in order to drain her completely and take over all of her wealth.
Just transfer the goddamn funds.
This is perhaps due to the more contradictory interplay of consuming K2 energies on the male body.
It's my money and I'm the one who's going to pay for it.
And societal role and expectations due to its Stree energy.
I'm almost resigned to living on what I can earn.
Well, you can always marry for money.
Yes, I suppose some people make a business out of that.
I know I did.
The male character, after gold digging the money, continues to want to take it further in order to have the wealth combined with independence.
I suddenly realized how much I'd grown to depend on her. All these expensive tastes I'd acquired while I was at the top.
But what the hell am I going to do if I leave Chloe? I don't fool myself that I haven't gotten used to a certain kind of living. Am I supposed to give it all up?
You told me once I'd love this kind of life. Do you want to know something? I do love it. I love it now more than you'll ever know. But I want to be my own boss, profiting by every bit of it, not just a stooge on the outside looking in.
As I sat in the corner, I thought of all sorts of things. I even thought of killing her. That seemed a far more sensible idea.
There are endless examples of this in film from classic Hollywood to today, and I explore this particular impulse to K2 more in the sex worker survey that I posted on my Patreon.
I got involved with a woman. Very nice. Family's got nothing but money. Big estate, servants, polo ponies, all quite lovely.
The heiress follows a naive Punarvasu moon heiress whose wealth makes her vulnerable to gold diggers.
Isn't he a charming young man? I never dreamed he'd be so interested in Catherine.
Nor did I.
He's so agreeable, so elegant.
You may find it hard to maintain so much elegance in this city without working for it.
But he's looking for a position most earnestly.
Wouldn't the position of a husband to a defenseless young girl with a large fortune suit him to perfection?
She's manipulated disturbingly by a fortune hunter played by MAGA ascendant Montgomery Clift.
Naturally, your father wants a brilliant marriage for you, Catherine, and I'm a poor man.
Oh, my father will not care about that.
He might fear that I'm mercenary.
Mercenary? Oh, no.
He may say it.
Well, I shall simply say it isn't so.
You must make a great point of that, Catherine, because it's from the fact of your having money that our difficulties may come.
Even when her father tries to protect her.
And there's something you must promise me. If your father's against me, you will still be faithful no matter what comes.
She's heartbroken when he coldly abandons her when she reveals that she will no longer be inheriting wealth from her father. In Sorry Wrong Number, Mula Moon Burt Lancaster is pursued by a rich Punarvasu heiress, but shows no interest in her until he finds out about her wealth.
May I cut in? Shall we dance?
If you don't mind, miss, where I come from, it's the man who does the picking.
All right, go ahead.
Why don't you get somebody your own speed? That is, I'm sure there are better dancers around.
You'll do all right, Henry. Leona knows the way around the floor.
He demonstrates frustration, however, with not being able to control her money fully after years of marriage.
I can't just throw my money away on everything you happen to see. There's a limit.
Limit? Sure there's a limit. I'm supposed to like whatever crumbs you want to throw me.
Henry, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, you've got me sewed up 16 different ways for 3 meals a day and pocket money.
That's all you care about. That's all you married me for, my money.
For this reason, eventually she discovers that he's the mastermind behind a plot to murder her.
Still don't want to use the gun? But make it quick. Our client says he doesn't wish to make a tough along, okay?
Yes, I want to kill the fucking head.
You want to get rid of me? Here I am. Go ahead, get rid of me.
Similarly, Dominique follows MAGA Moon Cliff Robertson as he schemes to drive his rich, previously widowed wife insane and towards committing suicide.
Mad, isn't it? But that's what he wants everybody to believe, that I'm mad.
In order that he can inherit her estate. How to Marry a Billionaire features MAGA's Sun and Moon native John Stamos.
But I'm sick and tired of being a loser. I'm sick of being broke. I'm sick of driving my 20-year-old car.
Urging his friends to enter a deal where they each marry millionaire women before Christmas Day.
First guy to marry rich helps the other guys until they score.
The British series Gold Digger, with MAGA's Sun native Ben Barnes in the title role, inspired the Italian series Deceitful Love, starring Mula Moon Giacomo Giannotti as the younger man pursuing an older rich woman.
E dimmi, stai con me per i soldi?
Ancora. È tuo figlio che ti mette in testa queste cose, vero?
Whose wealth becomes the focal point of potential romantic deceit.
Hai aperto una bottiglia di vino da 500 euro che hai preso dalla mia cantina. Stai cucinando nella mia cucina il mio astice. E adesso ti comporti come se fossi tu il proprietario di quest'albergo. Ti ripeto, stai con me per i soldi?
And her children scramble to defend her money.
I want you to be protected. If Benjamin's intentions are good, he won't object.
In both An American in Paris and Match Point, a K2-year-old Nakshatra man desiring more financial security gets with or leads on a wealthy woman or heiress, using her only for her money.
That's breathtaking. I just wish I could afford it.
Oh, don't bring that up again. You know it gives Papa pleasure to help.
Is this the one? Is this the one you love?
It is. I do. I'm just sorry I can't get it for us.
Well, I could. You know, I mean, I could.
Well, let me show you first.
Just a minute. If it's another apartment, I don't want it.
But you haven't even seen it, Leona. It's really something. It has terraces all the way around, a 45-foot living room, a private bar. Come on.
While secretly going against her orders and having a love affair with a woman who truly interests him romantically at the same time.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't try to tell me how and what to paint. I don't like that.
I can tell you I didn't like your exhibition tonight. I thought you were very rude.
Rude? I was? I didn't mean to be. I'm sorry.
Insist on picking up stray women, that's your own affair. But from now on, don't do it when you're with me. Is that clear?
While in American in Paris, he's more resistant than most K2 examples about receiving her wealth, due to other Nakshatra influences I've explored before mixing in. In Match Point, he's portrayed as primarily villainous, self-concerned, and more fixated on money rather than love.
Am I supposed to give it all up? For what?
Is it for a woman you love?
To live how? Where? To work as what?
To the point that he's eventually driven to murder to protect his lavish lifestyle.
I can buy us lunch, put it on the expense account, so
very well.
Do call.
Across many of these films, the K2-rolled native will latch onto and suck energetically from one person they wish to drain,
I'm just really tired.
as well as have one other person they truly like who they start to transfer some of the excess to.
I needed some clothes.
$25 for clothes.
I wanted a watch, too.
That fucking piece of shit had a good fucking time. On my money.
In case study examples that perfectly parallel these fictional channelings,
people give people money for all sorts of reasons. Guilt and love are two of the biggest.
the Mula Moon native Simon Lviv, the Tinder swindler, utilized Tinder to contact women and trick them into lending him money that he would never pay back.
These women make some very serious allegations against you. They say they were conned and threatened.
They weren't conned and they weren't threatened.
He would charm and deceive them into trusting him through using lavish gifts and private jets, using money that he obtained from other women that he'd previously conned.
Are you the son of a billionaire diamond mogul?
No, I'm not, and I never presented myself.
Just as John Stamos makes women believe he's rich to obtain their wealth and how to marry a billionaire.
Take a look around. We've been handed everything we need to convince rich women that we're rich.
The show Dirty John is about the real-life Mula Moon John Meehan, a con man who had a history of swindling women that he met online for their money. One described, I quote, he would meet as many women as possible and then find the one that is the wealthiest and then attach to that person.
He walks straight into our place and starts looking at everything with this cash register in his mind, adding it all up immediately.
The show follows his true story as he deceives a wealthy interior designer into a quick marriage, using charm to gain access to her finances.
How was the wedding?
Beautiful. Like all my weddings.
While concealing his abusive and dangerous intentions.
Ronnie thinks that John is creepy, might be a gold digger.
Oh, yeah, might be. Mm-hmm.
How can you entertain such a suspicion?
Suspicion? It's a diagnosis, my dear.
Just like the Tinder swindler, when he was finally arrested after spending tens of thousands of her dollars and making endless threats, the cops determined that he was driving a car he apparently extorted from another woman and living in a cluttered RV that he'd conned from a third woman.
Mi ha chiamato Sabina e mi ha detto che l'assegno che le hai fatto è scoperto.
C'è stato un problema con la banca. Sono passato stamattina a saldare.
Ah, sì, certo, come con i debiti spagnoli. Sai cosa facciamo? Lo chiediamo direttamente a lei.
Like the Tinder swindler, Ashwini Moon Anna Delvey is famous as being the subject of the show Inventing Anna, where she was portrayed by Julia Garner, who can have Mula ascendant. Anna was a scam artist who posed as a German heiress.
You just want my money.
Your money? What money? I pay for everything.
And masterfully manipulated perceptions to infiltrate elite circles. Like Lviv, she used money that she conned from one source to trick another into trusting her as a wealthy individual.
I'm in jail. What did you do? Nothing. I just borrowed some money. And the jets.
Eventually defrauding major financial institutions, hotels, and individuals for millions of dollars.
Anna, darling, I need this money. Come on, sweetheart, do me this favor.
Simon, I already told you my father will wire the money. It's no big deal.
Similar to all of these examples is Wild Things, starring Ashwini Moon and Matt Dillon.
This guy wanted to marry money. And when that didn't happen, he went to work on these two girls, using them to set up Sandra Van Ryn.
A man who's driven to romantic conning and murder when his gold-digging attempts to simply marry a rich woman doesn't work out for him.
I know you're fucking Barbara Baxter.
So maybe I'm a one-woman man now.
Aw, poor poor Sam. You really think you're gonna get one of these Blue Bay women to marry you? Grab a clue, honey.
He first cons a rich woman, then her daughter.
Hi, Mom. Sam, hi.
Hi, Sandra.
And eventually is conned back by Mula Nev Campbell, who finally proves to be at the top of the con hierarchy. Films featuring multiple K2-rolled con artists often revolve around playful, twist-filled plots that leave the viewer questioning who's conning whom, as seen in Wild Things, Heartbreakers, Matchstick Men, and others. In Matchstick Men, Mula's son Nicolas Cage portrays a con man specializing in short cons.
You're a con man?
Con artist. Flim-flam man, matchstick man, loser, whatever you want to call it, take your pick.
He's persuaded to attempt a more lucrative long con after meeting a daughter he never knew he had, played by Magamoon native Alison Lohman. However, in a final twist reminiscent of Wild Things, she turns out not to be his daughter, but a con artist herself.
And for God's sake, make sure the person you're conning isn't conning you.
By exploiting his fatherly emotions, much like how a romantic con artist preys on feelings of love and trust.
I think I must buy this painting for you.
Absolutely not, Tomas.
This is something I want.
Oh, Tomas, this painting is $14,000.
14 grand. I almost peed my pants. I thought it was supposed to be 7.
I smelled 14.
Good nose.
She manipulates his vulnerability, ultimately using it as a means to steal from him. Another particularly iconic example is the character Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad, portrayed by Magamoon Bob Odenkirk. He's an unscrupulous lawyer who embraces his tactics as a former con artist.
Now, if you're gigging...
His original con name was Slippin' Jimmy for staging slip and fall accidents.
What's the best way to get a room? I was thinking something simple, traditional. The flopper diver.
No way. Am I...
Oh my God! Oh. She's cracked her head open.
It was a drumstick. It was laying loose in the aisle.
Somebody call an ambulance.
No, you don't need to. I don't need...
But I'm sure she'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm...
Returning to the vampire genre can help to clarify what is going on under the surface here, which is why forces of growth actually need these leech-like forces on them frequently. When Jupiterians are cast as vampires, they're typically shown as a counterpart to a Mula native, lacking restraint and getting lost and distorted in the uncontrolled growing anabolic power, which can be amassed once they become vampires.
I feel fucking great.
Milo, you have to stop.
You have to stop. You have to stop denying who you are. It's boring. We can go anywhere. We can do anything. Let's go.
In Morbius, his Jupiterian best friend struggles to control the beastly qualities arising in him when he's transformed into a vampire.
Look what you've become.
You cannot make me go back. I won't let you make me go back.
And eventually Morbius has to take drastic, violent action to limit his friend's wild and boundless behavior.
Just you and me, Michael. Nothing. No one to hold us back.
This parallels the iconic K2 Jupiter duo in Interview with the Vampire, where Punarvasu Moon Tom Cruise is the indulgent, more ruthless counterpart to Mula Brad Pitt's restrained violence.
That's more like it. You're... That's the spirit. Yeah.
And he was eventually disfigured and condemned for decades to life alone in a dilapidated mansion, like many Punarvasus are depicted during the cursed period of their arc. In this year's vampire film Abigail, a Mula Moon vampire locks herself in a mansion with a group of miscreant, nefarious criminal people who she consumes one by one. It's Punarvasu Moon Dan Stevens who is the ultimate corrupt villain of the film though, attempting to contract vampirism and then use it evilly for his own interests.
We'll kill her father, and we'll take over the whole fucking thing.
Bite me.
It's not a curse. It's a gift.
Even as a vampire, Abigail, on the other hand, spares a woman amongst the group who she peers into the heart of, examining her roots, and realizes she is pure and instead uses her vampiric power for good, doing anything she can to save her, and instead kills only the criminals and corrupt vampires. For further connections, owls, a nocturnal predatory creature, were traditionally considered messengers of Nearity, and they're the original animals associated with vampires mythologically, before vampire bats were widely known. In mythology, mythologies of classical antiquity, owls were a bird that fed on human blood. So strigoi was a word in Romanian, for example, for vampiric beings, which means screech owl. It's also a word implying skinny, just as K2 is described as lean and brutal, and thus why it's able to drain energy. Mythologies worldwide also hint at this positive aspect of vampiric forces, similar to medicinal leeches, as agents of balance. For instance, some traditions advise staying indoors on certain nights, as vampires are thought to be carrying out divine destruction, culling or cursing what no longer serves the cosmic balance.
If you insist on behaving like a monster, then I'm going to make you one.
Now I'd like to take a few final minutes to delve into Mula's destructive and reductive tendencies, their role in targeting and pruning growths, but on a broader, more macro level tied to the Earth's balancing and healing. To better understand Mula's internal domination over corruption and bad growths, in films Life, Alien, Sputnik, and Sea Fever, K2's specific healing is shown symbolically using the symbol of a ship as a kind of metaphor for how K2 can heal the body using constructive destruction. In all these works, a quickly growing monstrous infection spreads through the people of the ship, hijacking their genetics and causing mutations, inspiring violent behavior, and so on. Like the ethical vampires harnessing their own monstrous power, the K2 Nakshatra native does anything they can to fight it off and keep it from spreading to Earth or taking over fully, including sacrificing themselves bravely.
So this is your solution, huh? Injecting yourself with poison.
2 недели она будет убивать живых людей. Вы же чувствуете его? Как вы?
Что бы вы сделали на моем месте? Разбили бы голову об стену?
Да.
As they're being taken over by the affliction, unlike those diseased around them, they annihilate it even if it means self-destruction. The same idea is shown in Mula's immense prominence in climate change or environmentalism films.
We try to ride bikes when we can, global crisis and whatnot.
Whatever, man. I don't care about anything.
Oh, you don't care about the environment? It's kind of fucked up, man.
But here the idea is flipped, often where the violence is targeted towards humans themselves as overgrown invaders with the desire to protect the earth and animals.
There's light and air and water and soil, all clean and unspoiled. Your plants and fish and fowl and beast, each after their own kind, all part of the greater whole, all in their place and always in balance.
Look at the world, perfectly balanced. The problem is us, people with the cancer. We deserve to disappear, seriously.
They're currently in alien terrain, surrounded by millions of the most vicious creatures on the planet. Humans.
Nature can be lethal, but it doesn't hold a candle to man.
In Abrahamic religions, Matya's story is linked to Noah's Ark, a representation of the Mula to Purva Shada transition that I explored in the video I'm showing now. Purva Shada Shakti relates to the purification that comes through bathing something, like great deluge motifs where the earth is cleansed of people who have turned to evil. Before this flood is the building of a boat.
I'm the boss here, more or less. Noah in his ark.
To call and save each creature which is deemed worthy of continuing on when the floodwaters settle. Tara's name has one meaning, which means to cross, and she's linked to the boat that saves her worshippers, helping them to cross hardship. Darren Aronofsky with Mula Moon made a movie about this challenge, Noah, which also stars Mula natives Emma Watson as the first mother in the New World, and Anthony Hopkins as the father who prophetizes the coming flood.
My father Enoch told me that one day, if man continued in his ways, the Creator would annihilate this world.
The original Noah's Ark movie from the 20s was created by a Mula son, Purva Shada Moon director, and even the parody version of this tale, Evan Almighty, was made by the Mula Moon director, Tom Shadyac.
I can't even get my cat to use the litter box.
Purva Shada is linked to genocides and is also with Mula linked to eugenics, as it's the culling or removing of certain people or traits from a people's, as shown by their root and winnowing basket symbols.
The single weak spot and the phalanx shatters.
The father of eugenics is a Mula Moon native.
Eugenics and inheritance. How does a cell become enslaved to a form, to a destiny it can never change? Can we change that destiny?
In films like 300 and The Island of Dr. Moreau involve eugenics contemplations heavily in a way I'll likely go into more sometime in the future and that I've touched on before.
Like old Spartans, he was inspected. If he'd been small or puny, or sickly or misshapen, he would have been discarded.
Sifting sand through a screen.
We sift people. If you had been unable to control your impulses like an animal, we could not let you live.
Nerti's name means calamity. Like the Noah's Ark tale, a huge force of nature destroying evil, climate change films showing humans punished by forces of nature for their carelessness are extremely prominent.
I'm gonna chop down as many trees as I need. End of story.
Then you leave me no choice. If you're not gone by the time the sun sets on this valley, all the forces of nature will be unleashed upon you and curse you until the end of your days.
Many Mula films like Noah and Crocodile Dundee also feature Mula natives hunting poachers, being violent towards the violent.
What do you want?
Justice.
Film after film and case study after case study, Mula natives suggest that humans are far worse than nature and how they can divert from truth.
Don't look now, Congressman, but the wolves are here. Although I wouldn't worry so much about these wolves as those.
In fact, Aronofsky's Noah was criticized for having such an environmental spin.
Man did this. Everything that was beautiful, everything that was good, we shattered.
And his film Mother is also a climate change metaphor.
And it made the connection between how we treat women is similar to how we treat the planet.
In A Strange World, Jake Gyllenhaal with Mula Sun discovers that the plant source of energy that they've been using for electricity was actually a parasite on the body of the living creature they live on, a metaphor for Earth.
This place, this world that we live on, is a living thing. And Panda was killing it.
And so he destroys it despite the economic drawbacks and the anger of the rich who were benefiting from the plant. Don't Look Up by the Mula Moon native Adam McKay was another recent film metaphor for climate change, in which the earth is destroyed by human greed when the rich want to mine a comet for resources instead of divert it from Earth's path.
Well, maybe the destruction of the entire planet isn't supposed to be fun. Maybe it's supposed to be terrifying.
In Godzilla, King of Monsters, Mula native Vera Farmiga begins wielding the monsters purposefully to destroy the human population to stop climate change.
I'm saving the world.
But by releasing those things, that doesn't make sense.
As impossible as it seems, it does. Humans have been the dominant species for thousands of years, and look what's happened. Overpopulation, pollution, war. The mass extinction we feared has already begun, and we are the cause. We are the infection.
With the cancer.
But like all living organisms, the Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection. Its original and rightful rulers, the Titans. They are part of the Earth's natural defense system, a way to protect the planet, to maintain its balance. The human infection will only continue to spread unless we restore balance. And within our lifetime, our planet will perish, and so will we.
Samuel L. Jackson with Mula Sun does the same in Kingsman. He plays a billionaire philanthropist who offers everyone free SIM cards. It's revealed that these SIM cards were actually weapons. He planned to transmit a death-inducing signal worldwide, culling most of humanity to avert its extinction from global warming.
Nobody told me to try and save the planet. I wanted to. Climate change research, lobbying, years of study, billions of dollars, and you know why I quit? Because the last time I checked, the planet was still fucked. Money won't solve this. So I spent the last 2 years trying to find a real solution, and I found it.
Like many Mula characters, he feels instinctually that his path is to utilize violence for what he thinks is a good purpose, even though his inherent personality traits are non-violent and it pains him on a conscious level.
If he did?
That tends to happen when you shoot someone in the head. It feels good, right?
No, it does not feel good. It feels fucking awful.
What?
Brad Pitt plays an extreme environmentalist in 12 Monkeys, a film also involving the plotline of a disease being spread potentially to purposely reduce the human population.
And you were all upset about the desecration of the planet, which I understand, but then you said to me, wouldn't it be great if there was a germ or a virus that would wipe out all of mankind, like the animals and the trees? That was
you're just trying to confuse me now.
So funny. And I told you my father was this famous virologist, and you said, hey, he can make a germ, and we can steal it.
Mula Moon, Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth brought climate change into mainstream awareness, inspiring a surge in environmental activism.
The best technology we know of to remove CO2 from the atmosphere is called a tree.
I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees.
And when that technology is taken to scale, it is called a forest.
And was released to coincide with the Mula starring film Day After Tomorrow, a climate change film.
In Nova Scotia earlier today, the ocean rose by 25 feet in a matter of seconds.
The documentarian Michael Moore with Mula Moon also made films on climate change that posits humans as the real beasts, such as Planet of the Humans.
We ruined the whole planet and pride ourselves for creating stupid national parks with stupid rangers, stupid heads to protect what's already gone.
The day the Earth stood still, Okja, Geostorm, Greenland, Poseidon, and the Lorax,
a town without nature, not one living tree,
are also other films touching on human environmental responsibility.
Everyone was warned, but no one listened. They called it extreme weather. They didn't know what extreme was. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and droughts unleashed a wave of destruction upon our planet.
Climate change, or the power of natural calamities.
The fragment, it is a hit. The state of Florida, Central Florida.
Directed by or starring Mula natives. This mass elimination of populations tied to Mula's calamities also links back to how I mentioned in previous videos that they can lead armies or death cults.
Like a monkey ready to be shot into space. Ready to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
We're all gonna die tonight. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir!
They have so much power over the animal instinct of others that they have the potential to cause those around them to override every deep and intense self-preservation drive in the body. Ultimately, Mula natives often feel a sense of existential discomfort or even torment in their cosmic role.
Condemn me to hell!
I don't know any hell.
As is shown overtly by the strife of the ethical vampire who feels shameful about the reliance on the life force of others.
It's no fun doing what I do. A lot of the time it's stealing from people who don't deserve it. Old people, fat people, lonely. A lot of the time I feel sick about it.
Then why do you do it?
Mula the Uprooter has the role of moving towards overgrown pockets of accumulation.
Come on, let's go to Paris. I want to rob.
To train them to purposely reduce or diminish them. This role, inherently reductive and destructive, is all about uprooting and pruning excessive growth of all types. Punarvasu often personifies in fiction such opposing forces of maximum growth, craving a companion as rich, lonely men or women,
But beware of couples. You don't want anyone whispering your marks here but you.
or vulnerable heiresses, as it's the most growth-oriented nakshatra being ruled by the boundless Aditi, acting in time-space through the expansive Jupiter and traditionally desiring, may I produce herbs and trees. Aditi and Nirati are often considered a positive-negative split descended as two parts from one Neolithic goddess of life and death, beautifully embodying the eternal dance of creativity and destruction. Incredible. And how nature is perfectly balanced and constantly renewed by these two processes. As the destructive counterpart, Mula often finds itself trapped within an uncomfortable role in society in which they feel outwardly dependent on others, relying on the sustenance of others and feeling compelled to leech onto the growths around them, just as vampires do with blood and gold diggers do with material wealth.
This animal feeds off blood because it must, because it has been afforded no other food source.
They find a confusing aptitude within them for manipulating excess out from others, but don't understand the cosmic purpose.
We sell people buildings. They don't even exist.
It's a con.
It's what I do. It's who I am. It's like for the first time, I was really good at something.
Without a clear purpose or conscious direction for their destructive capabilities, Mula natives may then feel adrift, their role misunderstood as merely destructive rather than transformational.
What's gonna be left if you do this? A dead, charred world overrun by monsters?
No, Dr. Stanton, the exact opposite. Just like how a forest fire replenishes the soil or how a volcano creates new land.
And their lack of self-understanding can cause them to be thrown around by these impulses negatively into deceptive or criminal behavior. Ethical vampires attempt to harness these urges consciously and with intention for the highest good, to use their violent and draining capability to destroy impurity, while gold diggers and general Mula vampires operate on a more instinctive, intuitive pull towards imbalanced and unprotected pockets thoughts of excess, in a way that appears more cruel but that cosmically adjusts things that are overgrown, gullible, or delusional through tough and harsh lessons.
Never play somebody who isn't buying what you're selling. You're thinking, Daddy, Daddy, what am I selling? Well, what you're selling is you.
In truth, both the forces of growth and destruction are equally dependent on one another for achieving balance, although it doesn't often appear this way to outsiders. Growth, in all its forms, is met with an equal measure of balance. The most unhinged and delusional expansions, wild and untethered to truth, like the self-deception of the heiresses or rich men or women that I've explored here who ignore the warnings of their loved ones, are paired with equally ravenous forms of destruction, vampiric and insatiable in their appetite to consume. Meanwhile, growth that's only slightly off course draws in gentler forms of pruning, like Mula people who reduce just enough to bring things back into alignment. These cosmic scales of nature, Aditi and Nirati, adjust with precision, meeting intensity with intensity, but always towards greater balance in the grand scheme of things. So, like vampires banished from being out in the sunlight and exiled into the darkness due to their cravings, Mula natives often feel a difficulty finding a place in society in which they can be independent and feel like they can consistently produce or contribute, as in a world celebrating growth and accumulation, their purpose is destructive. They wield the heat and digestive force necessary to inhale and process what others cannot bear, like the way this nakshatra is the black hole galactic center. This is why Ketu-dominated individuals are naturally drawn to fields like demonology and genres like horror. They are magnetized to the cursed and abnormal, embodying the eternal force of truth that heals by stripping away false growths, destroying artifice, and restoring essence. In summary, in a range of ways, whether they're conscious of it or unconscious of it, Mula has an antagonistic relationship with material accumulation and becomes the opposing force to things which are overgrown, excessive, and indulgent, just as Bel heals the oversized rich and angrily isolated beast into a state of giving, of outflow. Their reductive cosmic purpose to break built-up things down and minimize them means they possess a draining, vampiric, predatory impulse that they can use for good or bad. While their relationships on the material plane then may appear fully parasitic or destructive to outsiders, Mula at its core is a symbiote, there for a reason, dressing an imbalance, destroying delusion, and crushing down the large overgrowths that others cannot. A traditional name for Ketu, the liberator, is Pushpavagrahin, meaning seizing that which is blooming or flowering. Analyzed by Andrew Foss as explaining, Ketu's tendency is opposite the flowering one. He's like a whirlpool or vortex which crushes or squeezes everything falling into it until it becomes finer and finer. Similar is Ketu's name Pittakaya, meaning the oppressor who crushes everything down until it becomes so fine that it can fathom the truth. I hope you liked the video. 2024 was a year of developing lots of big projects for me, so 2025 is going to be packed with content. I have so much coming in the next few months that I can't wait to share with you guys, including a new course, another full video on a nakshatra that I haven't explored before, the male nakshatra appearance shorts and blog posts, and more. In coming short and long form content, here and on my Patreon, I'll be sharing some additional findings from this research, including exploring some other planet types that arose amongst vampires and what each type reveals about their respective dominating nakshatras. Thanks so much for being here, for interacting with my content in any way, and it's thanks to my patrons that I can devote so much time to creating free content. To support my astrological research and publication, please consider joining my Patreon. You can get tons of exclusive content there, as well as access to active group chats on all different topics related to my channel. Thanks to my Rayvati level patrons listed on the screen now, and an extra big thank you to my generous Abhijit level supporters. Ashley De La Cruz, Maddie Dierek, Semia Hogan, Ray, Crystal Lynette, Nikki, Jazz, Eric Linden, E, William Rivera, Agnieszka Monica, TTHP, Aaron Shade, Anna R, Unity, Nexus, Emily Moon, Haya, Michael Irwin, Joanne Schultz, Maya, Carl Wilden, Alex Durin, Luna, Andre, JJJJ, Jake Settlemeyer, Anna Bano, Mujib Faraz, Jewel, SS Phoenix, Yen, KM Wyland, Captain Lockjaw, Hannah, T. Cheatham, Michelle, Countess Philippia, Stephanie, Prasad, Raya, Pinky Guman, George Cardiel, Bella, Kiera Jones, Anushree Bimrajka, Ashley Foster, Eden, Shmoo666, Meg, Sultan Jara, Yadira Rivera, Pauline, MJM, and Alexis. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.